courtesy of the rolling start, meaning that we shouldn't see too much action in the first couple of corners, but as we come over the crest of the hill and it begins to tighten up as we head through in towards Griffin's Bend, that's where we'll see drivers getting very close to one another and maybe trying to launch a move before we go into the one-at-a-time section.
Say that already. Look at the gap between Kawakami and Kokubun, who's got through past Miyazono. They're really struggling for speed on that first lap, dropping down from P2 to P4. Kokubun out in front now on that hard tyre. Nabatani, the first of the medium runners, eager to get through as well. But look at the gap, 2 seconds already to Kawakami out front. This is exactly what he wanted.
Amazing start then from Kanata Kawakami. You can see here, Kokubun, he's going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle. Nabatani's on the medium tyres, so though they're not the fastest compound, they will be that bit quicker than Kokubun. Miyazono also on the hard tyres, struggling to get them up to temperature in the first few corners. Keep an eye out also for Yamanaka in the Toyota Supra. There is Kawakami putting out nearly 3 seconds by not even the end of the first lap. Through the Forest Elbow we go and down the Conrod Straight for the first time, and you can see how nose-to-tail it is throughout the rest of the field. Down the Conrod Straight we go. This is where we'll see the slipstream coming into effect and where we should see the medium shot runners breezing past the hard shot runners. Here is Yamanaka on the back of Miyazono. That Subaru's not ever been particularly quick in a straight line. Miyazono in the Toyota draws alongside his compatriot and goes through into 4th position before we've even reached the end of the straight and in towards the chase. Oh, and wide there as well for the Honda of Nabatani. Kokubun ready to try and take profit of it, but Nabatani just about manages to hold firm in second for now.
4 seconds is a gap on lap 1. Kawakami's just gone, all right, mate, I'm going to win this, see ya. He's just left the field behind. Obviously, a long race yet to go, but that's about as good a start as you can have, I think. Meanwhile, the battle for second and the rest of the hard and medium runners are pretty much all stuck together as we come onto Mountain Straight for the second time now. This is where we get to see the straight line speed in the cars. I mean, I think take a drink for every time we say that Subarus are going to struggle in a straight line, because that's going to be a big factor in this race.
Certainly is, and I tell you what, not a particularly brilliant start for the likes of Mosso and Hashima. They're still 10th and 11th as Yamanaka breezes past Miyazono heading in towards Griffin's Bend.
What can you do, though?
No, absolutely nothing. That's it. He's just a sitting duck at this point, isn't he? So Kawakami here, he's trying to break away from the rest of the field, isn't he? Well, he's already done that, 4.1 seconds. I think he's trying to channel his inner Igor Fraga. If you remember, what Igor loves to do is lead from the front, doesn't he? Doesn't like to get bothered by anything behind. And, well, he's clear as... makes no difference from the rest of the field. He's not going to be bothered at all, is he?
Yeah, we had Igor Fraga here at our lovely venue, hyping up Kawakami before the race up on stage. So maybe those words helping out a little bit. Of course, here are our drivers. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, all soaring away at the wheel. It's hard work, this, on the sim. You wouldn't think it is, but you can really work up a sweat trying to hustle these cars over the mountain here as they'll come down one at a time. A replay now. This is Kokubun and Nabatani. I think this was the overtake we saw earlier. It seemed a bit rough from me from the replay. Let's see it again. No, he was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said there. Went a bit wide. Kokubun tried to come back, and looks like they just about avoided contact there. Very nice, clean driving, but Nabatani sending it in like a missile into that left-hander.
Yeah, fantastic overtake there from Nabatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. You can see, meanwhile, further back, as I said, Mosso and Hashima not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or, a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Hashima, surely I'd have thought the sensible money would be to get onto a quicker compound of tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazono getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Well, Miyazono, they're opting, as you say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way in these events that the hard tyre is kind of just lava. You don't want to be on it at all. But it's one of those things where you want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a faster compound of tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure what the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is giving himself a massive amount of space. Look, there's no one in front of him now. And now he can just try and hot lap, because he knows if he's racing other cars, they're getting the draft. He can't keep them behind him, so he's going to try and basically gain time this way.
Hasn't got to worry too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close to him on circuit, he's on the medium compound of tyre. Now let's have a look here at Kokubun versus...
A replay now. This is Kokubun and Nabatani. I think this was the overtake we saw earlier. It seemed a bit rough from me from the replay. Let's see it again. No, he was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said there. Went a bit wide. Kokeman tried to come back, and looks like they just about avoided contact there. Very nice, clean driving, but Nabatani sending in like a mile into that left-hander.
Yeah, fantastic overtake there from Nabatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. You can see, meanwhile, further back, as I said, Mosso and Hashima not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or, a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Hashima, surely I'd have thought the sensible money would be to get onto a quicker compound of tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazono getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Well, Miyazono there opting, as you say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way in these events that the hard tyre is kind of just lava. You don't want to be on it at all.
Alguém já vai entrar nos boxes.
You want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a faster compound of tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure what the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is giving himself a massive amount of space. Look, there's no one in front of him now, and now he can just try and hot lap, because he knows if he's racing other cars, they get in the draft, he can't keep them behind him, so he's going to try and basically gain time this way.
That's going to worry too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close to him on circuit, he's on the medium compound of tyre. Now let's have a look here at Cockburn versus Yamanaka up the mountain straight. This is for third position then, so side by side these two drivers going. Yamanaka just breezing past once again, and also Benelli getting overtaken there by the Audi of Sato, so that's up into 5th position as well. Now the field beginning to spread out a little bit. You can see the medium shop runners breaking away a little bit from the hard shop runners, aside from Cockburn, who's still got Sato all over his rear wing. Yeah,
good fight here for 4th place between Mazda and Audi. Interestingly, the gap to the front of Kawakami. Oh, Sato much quicker on exit there, runs into the back of Cockburn. That's about as rude a hurry up as you can get there from the Audi driver, and now they're going to be drafting down the straight. Is that a little bit of a bump I saw down there? Unsure. Looks like they're maybe using the old stock car tactics there, trying to gain a bit of time on the cars in front. Will Sato go for a move? They go. So look in the mirror too. Benelli's there. So up the inside goes Sato, up into 4th place. Does he yet? Cockburn runs a little bit wide. Can Benelli take advantage of that there now? Just about side by side. I think that Cockburn comes out ahead, but that's what happens if the racing is so close. If you lose one position, you end up losing another one just because you're offline. Cockburn there deciding, you know what, I've had enough of these hard tyres, I'm coming into the pit lane. But what I was going to say before all that started is the gap at the front stopped growing. And Nabatani there, who was sort of giving it all that in qualifying, is now on this medium compound tyre and matching Kawakami on lap time. Well, about 2-3 tenths slower a lap, but to be honest, that isn't so bad around here.
No, normally you'd expect the gap to be about 1.2 seconds or so between the different compounds of tyre. So interesting to see there for Kawakami versus Nabatani. We'll keep an eye on that. Cockburn's off the hard tyre. He goes on to the mediums then for his midfield. Dotto also coming into the box in the Chevy Corvette from the hards, likewise on to the mediums. Now Cockburn ahead there of Saya Suzuki. That's pretty important, but he's going to be able to retain that position as he comes up the mountain straight in towards Griffin's Bend, because this could upset Cockburn's race here. He wants to try and run in clear air. Down the straight he goes. Suzuki's on the outside. He's got the slipstream and he's got the place really easily there, and that's not what Cockburn needed. The crucial thing when you're coming out of the pit lane, you're trying to get the undercut compared to some of the other drivers. You need clear air. You don't need to be battling with someone that's out of position compared to you, and that is going to really put a spanner in the works for Cockburn and Mazda.
Yeah, this is what we kind of meant about pitting at the right time. So here's Mosso and Hashima, our current 1st and 3rd place in the standings at the moment. They're going side by side, just about keeping things there. Championship standings, that is. They're 7th and 8th in the race at the moment, but a drag race all the way down Mountain Straight. So this is great to watch for these guys and great battling, but of course if they are swapping positions like this every corner, it's going to cost them a little bit of time. Mosso does go up the inside though finally of Hashima, but yeah, very close these guys right now.
Yep, and then getting the better of the Ferrari driver. Here is Kawakami still continuing on. Having a look at the sector times, they're looking pretty okay still as it stands for now. He's just, as we said earlier on, driving a nice clean race. The gap up to nearly 6 seconds, and you can see there a look at the tyre wear as well. His front significantly more worn than the likes of Nabatani, Yamanaka and Sato on the medium tyres who haven't pitted.
You can hear the car from the corner, the tyres are screeching. And actually, he was slower through the last sector than both Nabatani and Yamanaka behind on the medium compounded tyres. So I think he's already, to say, Tom, he's really worn those fronts. We heard him actually just before going to this race with Sasha saying that he's a bit nervous about tyre wear in this car. And we're seeing that already. Look, it's struggling, that front end. Really pushing on. So understeer, if you're unfamiliar, basically think about it. If you're about to hit a wall, if the front hits the wall first, it's understeer. If the rear hits the wall first, it's oversteer. And at the moment, the front is really pushing out. He can't get the car to turn as much as he wants it to, and those tyres are screeching in protest. And it's only going to get worse as the tyres get more worn.
Yeah, if you want a sort of more literal example of that, go to a supermarket, fill up your shopping trolley right at the front end, and then try and turn it. That's understeer for you. Kawakami on board with him. The gap coming down to just under 5.5 seconds. So still a nice, comfortable cushion for him. He's just got to drive as cleanly as he possibly can. Try and eke these soft tyres out for as long as is viable. He doesn't want to stay on it forever because obviously they're going to fall off a cliff at some point. That performance is going to go, and if he's on them, he's going to be a sitting duck later on in the race. You've got to time this tyre change to perfection, and Kawakami, you can see him there nice and smooth on the steering. Just one solid movement going into the corners, not trying to soar away at the wheel, and just trying to keep that gap at a constant. So this is what we usually see in these GT World Series races. Is it starts off pretty exciting. We get different drivers on different strategies all sort of working themselves out. Then we get a little bit of a lull sort of in the middle stages, and then once it all works out with the strategy later on, you've got different drivers on different tyres who have pitted at different times. That's when the race will really begin to come alive. I don't think Kawakami is going to be boxing on this lap or indeed the next lap, but it's certainly going to be on his radar before too long.
Interestingly, Nabatani is kind of matching Kawakami for sectors now, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. Here is Suzuki in the BMW trying to come past Kokiban. Of course, both these guys have pitted already, and Kokiban's decision to pit early maybe not the best one for him as he gets overtaken in a straight line.
Yeah, that's a re-overtake as well. We saw an overtake there coming out the lane a couple of laps ago. Kokiban managed to get ahead of Suzuki, and then Suzuki's gotten ahead of him in turn again. So Kokiban there now 1.5 seconds behind Suzuki. Crucially, he's out of the slipstream range, as we've got Benelli for AMG, Sasaki for Genesis, and Hashima for Ferrari, all in the pit lane then here on lap 6.
So second and third both lapped quicker than first place on the last lap. So those medium tyres now are starting to come into their own. So the soft tyres start to wear. So in comes Benelli going onto that soft compounded tyre now. Let's see what he can do on this stint. Comes out in traffic behind. I think that was Kokiban and Suzuki. So he's going to drive up to the back of these guys and have to get by on circuit. So not ideal for Benelli, but we'll see if he can make the best of it. So you watch Kawakami come over the mountain for the 6th time. Those front tyres now really starting to get to the danger zone, especially down here. You do not want those front tyres. That front right tyre in particular just knocking down there to 24%. And that for a corner like this, Forest Elbow coming through here, that front right tyre is just pushing on. You're just trying not to put the car into the wall on the outside. That's going to get tougher and tougher. I won't be surprised if we see him pit very soon.
Yeah, I wondered if he would be actually at the end of this lap, come to think of it. I said earlier on I didn't think it would be, but to be honest, the tyre wear has really gone down quite significantly for Kanata Kawakami here, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that either this lap, if not the very next lap for the Japanese driver. So coming through into the chicane we go. Now, does Kawakami box at the end of this one? Just to remind you, Lexus second in the point standings, 2 points behind Porsche. Points awarded for the top 6 drivers. Kawakami decides to come in then into the pits. A bit of a late call there for him, but all is fair and okay. They practice these pit entries all day. And Kawakami then, where does he go now in terms of the strategy? Does he go to the hard tyre for this middle stint, or does he try to go on to the medium tyre and try to weather the storm a little bit? Either way, he's going to lose the lead here. Nabatani and Yamanaka, who are yet to pit